Hi, welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. This is episode 18. Today is Friday, June 25th. We are officially 6 months away from Christmas. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you to returning viewers and subscribers. And if you're new for the first time, thank you so much for joining me. This is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, and all the yarny things that I love. So this is a particularly exciting episode today because I get to announce some contest winners. So in episode 16, I hosted a 400 subscriber giveaway. So thank you so much to all of you who subscribed. And you were asked to comment on what's your favorite thing to do in the summer. We had lots of comments from that, wonderful things that you all love doing in the summer. So if you want to take a look at what everybody enjoys doing, go back to those comments on episode 16. But I used a YouTube picker comment. Does that sound right? Yeah. A YouTube comment picker. That sounds better. And the winner is Susan Bozarth. So congratulations, Susan. She is the winner of this beautiful skein of yarn from Lumberjack Yarn. And her comment was, I love my kayak in the summer. I have been known to knit on a sock while floating in my kayak on a lake or a pond. So that sounds just delightful. So Susan, you are the winner. Congratulations. If you can get in contact with me either through Ravelry or Instagram message with your mailing details, and I will get this out to you. And thank you so much to all of you who participated and commented. There's a lot of wonderful, fun things going on this summer. All right. Our other prizes to announce, we were hosting a Spring Stripes make-along in our Ravelry group. So we do have a Ravelry group for this podcast, so just a little aside. And all of the things I talk about our Ravelry group will be listed down below this video. So you can always reference down there. So our Spring Stripes make-along has come to an end. It began May 1st and ended on June 20th. I closed the thread on June 21st, and I did a number random generator. And I have 3 prizes and prize winners for that make-along. The first number picked was number 6, and that is CTW Quilter, and I know that's Colleen. So Colleen has won the other skein of yarn, generously donated by Lumberjack Yarn, in the Lilacs in Bloom colorway. And Colleen actually made a couple of items for the Spring Stripes make-along, but her winning entry was a beautiful pair of socks in crocus, the crocus flower colorway. So they are just beautiful. The winner of Felici worsted weight self-striping yarn was post number 3, and that is Ash M. Co., and that is Ashley. So congratulations, Ashley. She also had a couple of entries in that striped make-along, and her post number 3 was a beautiful pair of striped mittens. They were just lovely. So that's Ash M. Co., Ashley. And then the winner of Felici self-striping sock yarn, the last post picked was post number 22, and that is KB for me, and that is Kristen, and her post was a beautiful shawl that she made with some self-striping yarn. So if you'd like to see any of the finished objects, please feel free to hop on over to Ravelry and check out that finished object thread. There are some lovely striped things in that group. So thank you to all of you who participated. It was a lot of fun. I hope you all had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to our next make along, which I will talk about here shortly. Oh, all right. So prize winners, congratulations to all of you. And if you can get a hold of me on all of you, either on Ravelry or on Instagram, message me with your mailing details, and I will get these prizes out to you as soon as I hear from you. So congratulations. You can find me on social media as cbcraftygirl on Instagram and Ravelry. And again, those will be linked down below. Let's get into some finished objects. All right, let's see. Flipping ahead in my notebook here. First finished object you may have spotted in the camera is my Sweet Blossom blanket. This was a crochet blanket the pattern is Sweet Family Crochet. I used Scheepjes Color Crafter yarn. It's a DK weight yarn. It's 100% acrylic. And let's see if I can stand up and show you. Let's see. Oh, I got the wrong side. Okay, so here it is. So goes all the way down. I don't know how well you're seeing all of this. And you can see I did that border. So last week, I think I was either partway through the pink section or maybe just into the blue section. And so I had to finish just a little bit of the length. And then or maybe I had already started the border. No, I think I had started the border. That's right. I was three rounds into the border. That's correct. So here is the border with those little bobbles. And it honestly didn't take as long as I thought it might. The one thing I will say about this blanket, it's a little bit of an odd shape. It is definitely longer. It's a long blanket, but it's not super wide. So when I laid it out on the floor, it really reminds me of like a really long beach towel. So I don't know exactly how practical it is. I guess it's a good lap size. It will be fine for a lap size blanket, but I thought it looked kind of good hanging over my quilt rack there, just to display it for today. I am really happy with how that turned out. I was making that as part of my contribution or my participation in the stripes make along. So I'm gonna put it back on there. There we go. So that is my one finished object. That is a big finished object. I am really happy to have made that, to have completed that. It feels like a good accomplishment to have that. I was gonna say off the needles, off the hook. It feels good to have that done. Little bit of backstory. So some of you who've been following me remember when I originally ordered the yarn for this blanket. It was the very end of March, and I ordered from websyarn.com, and they shipped it April 1st, and it never came. So I canceled that, and then I got some different yarn than the pattern called for, which is great. So, I was almost done with the blanket. Well, that package showed up last Saturday, June 19th. So it was ordered, I believe, March 27th, shipped on April 1st, and did not show up until June 19th. So I am definitely having some struggles with some packages with the post office. So I took it back to the post office and returned it because I don't need that blanket yarn anymore, because I had almost my blanket completed. But that package did finally show up. So it found its way to Nebraska. So just had to share that little aside story. I don't have any crochet projects in mind right now to work on, other than my granny stripe crochet blanket, which I have shown before, which I work on sometimes on Sundays. And I will tell you, I have not worked on it in quite a while, probably since I started working on this, because I really wanted to get this done at least close to the time frame of the stripes make along. So I am anxious to get back to that crochet granny stripe blanket. So maybe even this Sunday I will get back to crocheting on that, or maybe add it into parts of my week when I crochet or knit. So, all right, that is my only finished object. Going on into works in progress. So this is sock number 2 of my Belladonna socks. This pattern is by Gazal Mohammed. Last week I had just the cuff done. So I added my heel, and now I am working down the foot of the sock. It is a little bit more slow going because you are cabling without a needle, and I'm just not super fast at that. But it is definitely coming along. I'm really happy with the progress I have made on this for this week. The yarn that I am using is by Mustache Yarn in the Hogwarts colorway. And this is really fun to be knitting on, because I think I shared last time that my husband Jeff and I are working our way through the Harry Potter movies again, watching those. And we completed Goblet of Fire this week. So that's been really fun to revisit those movies again and knit on a Harry Potter themed sock with the sock yarn. So again, that's the Belladonna sock by Gazal Mohammed, and I really am hoping that I can complete this sock very soon. My next sock whip, work in progress, I shared last week as well, and this is my first entry for Summer Sock Camp hosted by the Crazy Sock Lady. And again, both socks were kind of at the same point. They both had the cuffs. So I have put on my heel flap and gusset, and again I am working down the foot of the sock. The main yarn color is by the Woolen Homestead, originally named atop the Ferris wheel, but later renamed County Fair Sunset. And she is no longer dyeing yarn, but she does have a fantastic podcast, The Woolen Homestead. So I would encourage you to check Tiffany's podcast out. So that's the main color yarn, and then the contrasting is Knitpicks Stroll in the Pucker colorway. So I will use that also for the toe of the sock. And I really love how the yarn is knitting up. I just think that is really, really pretty. Yeah. So it is my goal to at least get this sock completed within the next week. I said a little while ago that I really don't like to have more than 2 socks in work or 2 sock whips at one time. More than that, it just gets a little overwhelming to me. So I'm anxious to at least finish that one pair of socks, the Belladonna socks, so I can get started on some sock knitting for Christmas, which we'll talk about in a bit. My final whip is my Autumn League Pullover. This is a pattern by Two of Wands. I am participating in a make-along hosted by the Strings Attached podcast. This sweater is knit with Lion Brand Cotton Jeans yarn, and this is how far I have gotten. So I have made some really good progress this week. You can see I have divided at the sleeves, and this is very interesting construction. You knit in the round. Well, actually, when you started, you were not knitting in the round. So you knit back and forth for a while, and then you joined in the round, and you worked in the round for quite a while. And then you separate out sleeve stitches. So I've got this sleeve on one holder, I've got my back on one holder, and then my other sleeve on a holder. Oops. So you separate those out, and then you continue knitting everything flat. So I am working down the front right now. And I guess the idea behind that is to, when you seam it, it helps give the sweater more structure. So we will see. I have never knit a sweater quite like this. You know, a top-down raglan sweater, you just think of knitting in the round, dividing for the sleeves, go back and knit your sleeves when you're done with the body. So this is really different construction. I know some people who are participating in this make-along have just said that they might continue just to knit it in the round. I am not a person who usually deviates from the pattern. I don't, yeah, I am a pattern or a recipe follower. So I'm just gonna go with the pattern. I don't feel like I have enough experience yet to just go with, doing something different from the pattern. So I'm just going to go with this process and trust that it will work. But I'm really happy with how it is turning out so far. Again, the yarn is lovely to work with. The neck is looking wide, but you do go back up and pick up stitches and knit ribbing for the neckline. So that is my Autumn League pullover. That's where I was last time. So some really nice progress for this week. And the knit along runs till the end of August. So I just like to keep getting chunks, good chunks of it done each week. All right. Okay, that brings us into talking about our Merry Make-Along. So one knit along, make-along finished. And so I am starting a new make-along. This is called Merry Make-Along 2021. I am going to run it on Ravelry and on Instagram. The idea behind this make-along is to get a head start on our Christmas or holiday gifting, gift making. Like I said, we're 6 months today from December 25th. So it's definitely time for me to get started. So either you can make something as a gift for someone, or you can certainly make something for yourself, festive for the holidays. So, you know, if you've got a special skein of Christmas yarn, maybe you want to knit that into a pair of socks so that you'll have those ready come December. The make-along starts July 1st, which I think is next Thursday. Yep, next Thursday. So July 1st, and goes through the end of August. So August 31st. Whips, works in progress, are allowed as long as they are at 50% completion or less. And I'll trust that you'll use the honor system for that. You are allowed to double dip. I know there might be some other Christmas in July cowls, mals going on starting in July. So, you know, if you're making something for this one, please feel free to, you know, enter that one or other ones as well. So I will be choosing winners from the chatter thread on Ravelry, which, by the way, I have opened the chatter thread already for the Merry Make-Along. So I will choose one prize from the chatter thread on Ravelry, one from the finished object thread on Ravelry, and I will choose one from Instagram. So on Instagram, we will use the hashtag Merry Make-Along 2021. And if you're participating, please tag me so that I make sure that I see all of those, all of the things that you're making and finished objects. I'm going to say for physical prizes, this will be open to U.S. residents. You know, I've had trouble with the post office, so and it's, yeah. So I'm going to say U.S. U.S. residents for physical prizes. If you live outside of the U.S. and would like to participate, I would love to have you participate, but I will offer up a pattern prize on Ravelry if I should draw someone that lives outside of the United States. So I hope that is fair and okay with all of you. If you're a maker and would like to donate to the Make Along or to the podcast, please feel free to reach out to me on either Ravelry or Instagram. I am going to show you now all of the things that I would like to make during this time, and it's of course way too many things. I will not get all of this done, but I'll just show you kind of what I am thinking about. So the first would be a pair of mittens. So you remember I made my first pair of mittens this year, but this would be a pair of mittens. Using the pattern, The World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. And I have a skein left over from my Weekender sweater. This is Cascade's 220 Superwash. No color name, but it's kind of a heathered forest green. And I would like to make a pair of mittens for Jeff with that. I just find that men are so hard to buy for. So if I can make something for Jeff, that is usually what I do. We do stockings in addition to gifts under the Christmas tree. So things like a pair of mittens would be something really nice to fit inside the stocking. Also, another gift for Jeff, I would like to knit him a pair of socks. I have gifted him a pair of socks the last several Christmas, I would say at least 4 or 5 Christmases. I have been knitting him a pair of socks. So this is by Regia, an Arnie and Carlos line. It is a self-patterning yarn. And so no colorway listed, or no colorway name listed, excuse me, but the number is 03857. So I hope you can see that. It's got some, looks like rusts in there, and some grays and bluish greens and some creams. So, and the self-patterning. So I'll be anxious to see how that knits up, but can't get started on socks for myself until I at least finish one of my pairs of socks. So that's what I'm thinking about for Jeff for Christmas. Let's see, I have another pair of socks that I would also like to knit. The Evergreen socks. I made a pair, I guess I started maybe in December, but I did show them on the podcast. Evergreen socks. I don't have a picture. That's my bad. Yeah, all I have is the pattern. Yeah, just the pattern, but they have trees on the front, and I made a pair for myself, and someone near and dear to me said she would really like them. So I'm not going to say who it is, but she probably remembers who she is. But I'm going to use this beautiful yarn, this pretty green yarn for the Evergreen socks. Let's see, Evergreen socks are by Madeline Gannon. The yarn is by Fig and Posy in the sage colorway, and I've had this in my stash for quite a while. So a beautiful shade, lots of different shades of greens in there, which I think will be perfect for those Evergreen socks. That was a really fun pattern to knit up, so I am completely looking forward to knitting those up again. So those are on my list to do. I have a cowl that I am considering making. This is, let's see, I don't want to give anything away. This is called Slip Into the Holidays Cowl. Let's see, and it's by Roving Fibers Adventures. And it looks very tiny picture. It looks like color work, but the color work is achieved by slip stitches. So not your typical color work, so just slip stitches. And I am going to use the recommended mini skein set that I got last year. This is by Jems, Luxe fibers. And this little holiday set was called Home for the Holidays. So beautiful green and that variegated Christmassy color, a red, a gold, and then this pretty speckly blue color. And it came with this sweet little bells, jingle bells stitch marker. So I am considering making that cowl. I don't know if it's for a gift or for myself. The cowl itself is it's a little shorter maybe than I would like. And it looks like it doesn't have ribbing. So I'm thinking about adding ribbing to it. This looks like a peppermint colorway. It wasn't designed as a peppermint colorway. It's by Maker's Haven. So I was thinking about adding ribbing to both, you know, top and bottom of the cowl. So thinking about that project. I have this Christmassy trio of yarns that came together as a kit. This is by Rainbow Peak Yarns. Sage, they're calling this red and green, very Christmassy. And I am thinking about the Neonpolitan Shawl. This is by Heather Walpole. She's the owner of UU Yarns. So a very basic shawl. But I would have, you know, a Christmassy colored shawl because I don't have a Christmas sweater, which I'd like to make one of those some days, but that's not probably going to happen for a while. But it would be fun to have a Christmassy color shawl. So that is something I am thinking about. See, I have all of these ideas I'm thinking about, but I've got other projects too that I want to do. So there's just so many things to knit, so many things to make. The last one, I had showed this a while ago as stash enhancement, but this pretty yarn is by Knit Circus, and it's in the Let It Snow colorway. And it's a fingering weight yarn. It's a BFL, Blue Face Leicester wool. And it's to make this snow and mistletoe cowl. Yeah, hopefully I'm not showing anything. Snow and mistletoe cowl by Jennifer Rundhaug. It has little lace details which look like snowflakes in it. And she named it after a line in the song, I'll Be Home for Christmas. You know, please have snow and mistletoe. So that's where the name of the pattern comes from, which I thought was really nice. Jennifer has a podcast called Driftless Knitting. I follow her on YouTube, so I really enjoy watching her, and she's a pattern designer. So that is something, I just think this would be really fun to watch this knit up. So those are the things that I am considering working on. So you'll have to stay tuned to the next episode or two to see what I decide to cast on. So all right, a little bit of stash enhancement, and that will also bring us into chatter. Last week I was able to go with my knitting friends who I have been in a knitting group with since 2013. We took a yarn trip. We went to 2 stores and out to lunch, and we had a wonderful time catching up. And I'll show you a couple things that I got. So this yarn, I got several skeins of this yarn. This is Winter Blossom. And it definitely has a little bit of a halo on it. This is by One Crochet Too. And I don't know if it has a colorway, but I would call that a sage, kind of a dusty sage. This is definitely a fingering weight. It's 50% organic wool, 30% mohair, and 20% silk. So it's going to have a beautiful halo and a beautiful drape to it. And I am planning, at least right now, my thought is to make a ranunculus. So many of you have heard of that sweater, and maybe some of you have made that. So I am going to try to use this to make that sweater. I had kind of a dusty rose colorway picked out too, and I was kind of going back and forth. And my friends kind of said, oh, this color would look good, and maybe it's fun to get out of your comfort zone. So I agreed with them. So that is going to eventually be a ranunculus. So I got that. And then I also got this skein. It's unique worsted. And it's a self-striping worsted weight yarn. And I was inspired to get this actually by Colleen, CTW Quilter on Ravelry. Her other post, her other item that she made for the striped make-along was a cowl using this kind of yarn. It was so pretty. I really loved it. So I thought this also could be a very quick knit and a nice Christmas gift knit. So that is something that I am considering too. So that was stash enhancement from my yarn trip. I'm going to save some of my other stash enhancement for another time, but that was my shopping trip with my knit group. Let's see. We had a nice Father's Day. I hope all of you who were celebrating had a nice Father's Day too. Jeff and I went to the lake and went sailing, and it was a very blustery day, so it was good for sailing. And then I made a pie. I made a bumbleberry pie. That's one of Jeff's favorites. So bumbleberry pie is 4 berries, so blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. So excuse me, I made his pie for him, and we grilled. It had barbecue chicken and watermelon, and we had some of our family home for dinner, and then we played cornhole. So I don't know if some of you probably are familiar with cornhole. So we played that, and it was a really nice day. The weather Monday was so nice. I had talked last week, it was hot, and we're getting hot again. But Monday was such a nice day, and even Tuesday morning was, it was so cool. It was like high 60s or low 70s, a nice breeze. So I was able to sit out on my front porch and later on my deck and just knit and crochet and whatever I wanted to do out there. It just felt so good to do that. And I know in some of those summer comments, some of you enjoy porch knitting or, deck knitting or crocheting too. So that was lovely to be able to do that. I will share that I tried my hand at spinning, and yeah, it looks kind of bad. I am not a spinner, although I would like to be. I took a spinning class many years ago. I can't remember when our fiber fair was. It was in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. And I took a beginning drop spindle class, and I was the worst one in the class. I can admit that. I was really bad at it. But we were given, this drop spindle as part of our, class materials, and then a whole bag of fiber. But I never really got the hang of it, and I'm not sure I really have the hang of it now, but I really would like to try. And one of my friends in my knitting group, Jane, hello if you're watching, Jane, said she will help me. She is a very good drop spindle spinner and a spinning wheel spinner. She does that quite a bit. So she's going to help me eventually, but I wanted to try my hand at it. So I've been watching some YouTube videos and trying to get a hang of it. I guess I was inspired to take this out and try again. I watched the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast, and Lisa is a fairly new spinner, although she has really gotten quite good. So I'm kind of inspired and kind of in awe of her work on a drop spindle. So I'm going to keep trying and practicing and see how it goes. I only tried 2 times this week, and I know It took me a while to learn knitting or crocheting, so excuse me, I think I have some fluff in my throat. So it takes practice to get really good at it. So if any of you have any tips for me, any good YouTube videos to watch, I feel like, let's see, this is an Ashford. It says Ashford on it. It's a top whirl spindle. It feels heavy to me, and I would like to make more of a fingering weight yarn or a DK weight yarn. And sometimes I'm getting thin spots in there, but sometimes I'm getting thick spots, and I realize, you know, it'll take practice to get it consistent, but I don't know if I need a lighter drop spindle. So if any of you are spinners or have some advice or tips for me on that, I would greatly appreciate that. So if you'd like to comment below, I sure would appreciate that. So I think I will stop there for today. So hope you all are doing well. If you'd like to join in that merry make-along, please feel free to do so. Hop on over to Ravelry, to that chatter group. There's all of the information about the make-along is there. In Instagram, hashtag merry make-along 2021. If you'd like to post pictures there. So that's the merry make-along. So I'm looking forward to starting some holiday projects really soon. I guess that is all for today. So I would appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed and you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to this channel. With that, I hope you have a great week of making, knitting, crocheting, or whatever crafty thing you get up to, and I hope to see you really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.